I can just picture the meeting for this movie at Pixar. We have a lot of sequels coming out soon. Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3, Coco 2. We need another solid original idea before all that. Then one guy just goes, "How about a girl who turns into a robot beaver?" And everybody else is like, "What?" How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining me for my review of Pixar's newest film, Hoppers. This is about a 19-year-old girl named Mabel who is attached to this glade, this particular piece of nature that she has come to many times since she was a kid with her grandmother, and it is going to be destroyed. The mayor is going to build a new highway over this spot, and the only reason he's being allowed to do that is because there are no animals living there anymore. So she is able to use this technology in order to transfer her mind, hop her mind, into a robotic beaver to go try to talk to the other beavers and the other animals to convince them to return to the glade so that it will be preserved. I've always been a huge fan of Pixar. Like most people, there are so many classic films that they have made, movies from my childhood that are still incredible to watch, and some great ones recently as well. They make original movies all the time. Nobody ever talks about Soul because it came out on Disney+, but more people need to talk about Soul because it's so good. They have been a little more hit or miss for me lately, though. I never fully know what I'm gonna get from them anymore, but I'm always curious to see. So let's start off with the positives, all the things that I liked about Hoppers. This is an important message. Obviously, the idea of nature preservation is nothing new for movies to explore, but I really like the way that it's done here, as you have our main character at the beginning of the movie being told by her grandmother to just like come out to this glade whenever you're angry or whenever your troubles are getting you down and just kind of soak in nature. Let yourself feel like you are one with something so much bigger than you and how small your problems really are. And it's really about that connectivity with nature and how humans should not view themselves as separate from all of it, how it all needs to work collectively together. And I really like the way that's done because it's not as simple as it might initially seem. It becomes a little more nuanced. It's not just like Mayor Evil Man, animals all perfect, innocent little creatures. The way some of the characters develop is actually a little bit surprising, considering where the movie started out and how it seemed very simple and very straightforward at the beginning. And it's not like a twist villain type of thing. That's kind of a common criticism of Disney nowadays. Why do you have to have all these twist villains? Why can't you just have a really good classic Disney villain the whole time? It's not that either. It's just that the characters end up growing and expanding their roles in ways that make sense that I didn't really see coming. So I like the way it's done here. It's not heavy-handed at all, but it's very clear, and especially for children to understand, they're definitely going to be able to take away the message strongly from this. It's Pixar. Of course, the animation is incredible. It looks really good. Wild facial expressions, so much fun with the animation of all these different animal species and the wacky things that they get up to. The voice acting is great. Piper Curda plays the main character. John Hamm is the mayor. Dave Franco plays a character, and he seemed like he was having a blast. It was weird because it sounded like it was Dave Franco, and yet the voice he was putting on is a voice I have never heard come out of that man's mouth, and I wasn't even sure if he was capable of doing a voice like that. So I'm like, okay, that sounds like him, but is it him? And yeah, sure enough, it was him. He was having fun. And just as the message gets a little more nuanced as the story goes on, the story itself becomes more and more absurd in a good way. Obviously, there's the robot beaver thing the entire time. That's pretty ridiculous, and I have no idea how transferring your mind into a robot lets you understand what every single species of animal are saying. That doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to nitpick the children's sci-fi movie. We're just gonna accept that. But for a while, it's her interacting with the other animals and experiencing their way of life and trying to convince them to come back and mend the conflict between humanity and nature. But as it goes on, the different types of animals that get involved, the ways they get involved, what they try to do as the conflict escalates, it escalates. I'll tell you that, larger than I thought it would. And by the end of the movie, it actually becomes a very exhilarating climactic showdown in ways that I didn't imagine. Like, it felt way more tense with more bizarre, ridiculous things happening than I would have expected based on where the movie started. And so I actually really enjoyed the third act, probably the most out of the entire movie. The main character is very easy to get behind, as she's the only person actually trying to do anything about this situation, and it's fun just seeing her integrate in with the animals, getting to know their characters, see the way in which they operate, which is very heightened, very exaggerated for the sake of being a cartoon, the way that they discuss things and plan things, and the way they have their hierarchy amongst different species, and it was just fun being around those characters. There were a few things I was kind of mixed on, one of those being the comedy. Normally we're seeing Mabel and the other animals from their own perspective. They have these big animated eyes, of course they're talking to each other, but when we see them from the human's perspective, they just look like animals. The beavers have these little black beady eyes, they look like really cute normal little beavers, and the humans cannot understand them. And in those scenes, I actually thought it was really funny, just looking at the beavers and these other animals, knowing there's so much going on in there, and them trying to communicate or interact with the humans, and the humans being completely shocked at whatever's going on. Whereas the comedy, when we were actually with the animals and they're talking to each other, felt very standard, like one of those talking animal kids movies. There's a million of those. And a lot of the humor felt very much like children would definitely enjoy it, but I was not really finding myself laughing all that much. And there were even some parts where I found it a little bit annoying. There's a scene where these animals are trying to describe what this loud noise they heard sounded like. So you get like 10 different animals in a row who all come on screen and just scream in weird ways, trying to replicate whatever the loud noise was. And I was like, well, kids are gonna laugh at the loud noises, but I'm too old. I'm getting a headache. Stop screaming. I didn't find a lot of the humor to be as clever as I would have preferred it to be personally. And I felt a little bit of a disconnect between those different segments of the movies when we're integrated with the animals and when the animals are interacting with the people and we see them from those different perspectives. It almost felt a little bit like not quite two different movies. Like, they obviously mesh together pretty well, but my emotional reaction was different. I really felt like, okay, totally serviceable, fine, talking animal movie. I'm not really resonating with a lot of the comedy, but then in those other scenes where the animals weren't talking, those felt so much more unique to me. It felt like more effort was required in order to bring out some of the comedy and some of the absurd situations and some of the reactions of the people that were now involved, which added more layers to the story. So I couldn't help but think, like, what if they just went really unique with this movie and the animals didn't talk to each other? I know that was never going to happen. It's got to appeal to kids, and the kids want the animals to talk. But for my own personal enjoyment, I couldn't help but imagine another version of the movie that focused more on those other comedic scenes that I thought were much more suited to my own sensibilities. Because Mabel has these scientists in her ear and they can talk, so you can have dialogue amongst characters as they investigate the whole animal situation. And I just kept thinking, I would be more attached to some of these animals if they didn't talk. I enjoyed spending time in that environment, but a lot of the comedy just didn't really connect for me. And when they weren't talking and they just seemed like cute animals that I could just calmly, serenely enjoy as an aspect of nature, and the comedy had to be a little bit more clever, I enjoyed those parts a lot more. And even though I think the way the message is communicated through the story is well done, it is something we have seen so many times before. This movie itself even references Avatar as something that is similar. There's another recent animated movie about talking animals interacting with a robot in the woods, The Wild Robot, and that movie is much better. And there's one aspect of the story that I genuinely did not like. Of course, Mabel is lying about being a beaver, and so that has to come to light eventually, and we're gonna have to go through the motions where someone's gonna be like, oh my god, you lied, I can't believe it. The obligatory third act split up, where the main characters are mad at each other for like 5 minutes just because that's what it says to do in script writing 101 apparently, because it's in every damn movie out there. They're gonna split up, 5 minutes later they're gonna get back with each other. It's totally pointless. It's just to create a little bit of drama before the climax, and some movies do it convincingly. This one I felt did not. I felt a lot of heart, a lot of genuineness. Is that a word? It felt genuine for most of the movie in communicating his message, but that was the one aspect of the movie that felt very forced to me. I was like, okay, you're not doing this because this is naturally how these characters would respond to the situation. You're doing this to force some drama later on in the plot, and it felt artificial. So overall, I had fun with Hoppers. It was very cute. The message in the story may be familiar, but that kind of thing always bears repeating, and I think it was done well here. If the comedy had connected with me more, I could have been a little more forgiving on that familiarity, but the fact that I wasn't really laughing all that much makes it not one of my favorite Pixar movies by any means, but a solid one, especially if you want to support original animation. If you don't just want sequels and prequels and spin-offs, then go out and give your money to the original films that come out. This one is not one of the best that they've ever done, but it is good. It is a fun time. Comparing it to some of their other recent output, I definitely liked it significantly more than Elio or Lightyear, but not as much as Inside Out 2 or Elemental. And why does nobody ever talk about Soul? Did anybody watch Soul? It's so good. Anyway, solid Pixar movie, probably not one that's going to be joining the collection, but I had a good time with a one-time watch. Kids will enjoy it, they'll be able to connect with the message very well, and while I think it's a little bit more directed at them, adults will mostly have a good time too. A lot of the early reviews that I've seen have been a little bit more positive on it than I have been, just because I guess they found it funnier than I did. But I did enjoy the movie, I recommend it. If you have seen Hoppers, leave your thoughts down in the comments below, whatever you think of Pixar's recent output, whatever you would like to see them do going forward. We can have the conversation down in the comments, because this has all just been my opinion. I don't want to just say it to you. I want to have a dialogue back and forth. So thank you so much for watching and participating. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more from me. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you for the next one.